In the last series, we met 70-year-old Richard from Westcott in Surrey.
I think there's a bit of a hoarder in most people in that they keep things.
Richard's whole house is full of newspapers. He's been collecting them for over 4 decades, and they are a massive fire risk.
Well, there's literally one of each paper, like the Mirror, the Sun, the Star, the Times, and Financial Times, the whole lot. Well, overall, with stuff that's up in the roof, we go back to 1976. I'm probably the only person in the entire country that's doing this. This is what counts for a kitchen, which is considerably better than it once was, but obviously nowhere near as it should be. This is a throughway to the loo and bathroom. You can go in there if you want to, but it's up to you. So this is a master bedroom. There's one bed there and another one underneath that lot. Ahead of you is where the sitting room is or was. But the entire content of the hall was moved into that room, so that really is quite densely packed.
When the hoard spread into the outbuildings, his neighbours complained. Determined to preserve his newspaper archive, Richard had his day in court.
The human rights situation is such that everyone's entitled to the enjoyment of their possessions, I think is how it's worded. So that helped me win the day. It's a labour of love, really.
Now, 18 months later, his hoard is at breaking point. Richard has been adding to his collection, newspaper by newspaper.
Certainly it's grown, yes. I get a bit out of patience running out of space. Every sort of nook and cranny is covered. And my desire to retain is ever thus. So I just have to bite the bullet, as it were, and create space. So to that extent, it can be a bit dodgy, but such is my determination to go with it that I just have to put up with it.
But what he lives for could be the death of him.
Had I known when I started to collect them, I probably wouldn't have done, but you get to a certain point where you don't want to give up.
Despite the risk, Richard's reluctant to put an end to his hoarding.
Am I going to stop buying papers? The answer is no. All the time they're printed and available, I will purchase them. It's getting to the point where it's a bit unmanageable, as you can see for yourself. But it's important to me. I think I'm more interested in the data that they hold rather than the paper per se. So they're quite a valuable resource.
But it's not just the data that interests Richard. It's also the physics.
As the planet rotates on its axis, a pile of papers will lean one way and then the other. And if it goes too much without being corrected, it will suddenly slip like that. Yeah. Just like that, you see. The newspaper individually is not very heavy, but collectively it can be quite dodgy.
And there's a real risk of fire. So after 40 years of hoarding, Richard is willing to explore solutions to his paper problem.
I certainly would be interested in selling them. I certainly wouldn't want to throw them or discard them. They'd have to go to a sympathetic home.
Today, he's taking a tiny part of his beloved collection to be assessed by professional paper archivist Ian.
Hello.
Richard, hello. Thank you for bringing your papers.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Like Richard, Ian has been collecting newspapers for 40 years.
What have you got?
But he's made a business from it by turning original papers into gift sets, commemorating birthdays and anniversaries.
I brought along one of our boxes as we use at the moment. So it's a printed cardboard carton. And inside, we've got a folder, a presentation folder, and then the paper sits inside like this, under a gold banding with a gold tassel.
Yeah. fascinating, isn't it?
So with every paper, we issue a certificate of authenticity.
There's only so many left of genuine papers, aren't there?
Yes, for sure. There's not so many collections around now. Have you worked out, Richard, how many actual newspapers there are in your...
Well, I hadn't up until today. Well, just casually I might have considered it, but we're looking in the order of 50,000 papers.
Wow. That's a big run of papers.
Yeah.
And of course, they are worth money. There's no doubts about it. You know, you could run into thousands, even tens of thousands of pounds, so it's well worth considering.
Yeah, yes, indeed so, yeah.
What you might find is that there could be interest of your papers with museums or libraries. They might well want to do displays of them. Some corporate like companies could be interested in them. Thank you for bringing these ones along, and I really enjoyed speaking to a fellow archivist.
I will adopt that word from now on in, yes.
Ian's is a valuable insight.
I really think there is an opportunity for him to make money from his collection. He will have to work on it, and it will take some time.
Richard faces a big decision: cash in on his collection or leave his legacy to a museum.
I would be prepared to sell the collection, so I will have to grab the iron, as it were, and come up with a solution which will be beneficial to future generations, as well as being helpful to me in the short term.